Hello, it's me again. Um, Most people know me as Yours Lansky, and some of my students know me as George Green. And today is a very important day for me because I have made up my mind to reveal a part of my mm secrets which I have never let others know. Perhaps this is the main reason why I'm going to say this. I'm going to talk about this in English so that most of my friends to understand what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm holding the torch so that you make sure that it's me, not another person. And of course, I'm not going to hold this torch throughout the whole recording because it's not very convenient. Okay, now you make sure that it's me. Okay, now let me put it down. Okay. Um, well, I'm pretty sure that if you let me, um, if you let me tell you everything till the end, so you'll be taken aback. You'll be surprised a lot. Some of you perhaps may be disappointed completely at what you're going to hear, but this is true. This is true. Okay. Um, but I believe that I must do this. Okay. Never mind. Let me start. Let's get started. Okay. I'm going to produce a set of short videos. In this series of short stories, I would like you to touch a part of my personality, which I see as a solid foundation of myself as a person and my whole life too. Believe me or not, but absolutely everything in these videos is true. It's not a figment of my imagination at all, but a set of true stories, situations, circumstances I found myself in throughout my lifespan. In other words, you can consider it as a sort of autobiography, partially describing the most secret part of my life, which I have concealed from others as much as I could. But for some reason, I feel like having to share this with you. Somehow, deep inside, I feel it's high time that I told you about the events most people like me prefer to hush up. People like me. Yeah. Okay. Like me. Okay. It started a long time ago when I was about 3 years old. In fact, it was that nightmare which somehow triggered the following events through which I went through. At this point, let me brief you on what I am and what I was like roughly 45 years ago. I was born into a typical Soviet family, and I was brought up by my parents, who both worked in a large factory. The factory was located not far away from our small house. Perhaps the information related to my family doesn't appear that important in context of the whole basis of the stories. But the main reason why I decided to include the fragments concerning my family background is that you can get the whole picture. Now about the nightmare itself, I guess it's very important. Yeah. Imagine a plane. I would like you to imagine a plane, a vast, boundless plain of absolute dry soil covered with numerous cracks. I'm walking on the ground, seeing black clouds above with bolts of lightning, which hit the surface quite frequently. In fact, the series of these tracks is endless too. The thunderstorm is enormously deafening, and I keep on walking somewhere. I'm not aware of why I'm keeping this particular direction, but I'm toddling through strong gushes of the wind. Well, I ought to admit that I'm far from being a fearless, brave child. The boot is on the other foot. Actually, I'm scared to death, I would say, if I knew what death is like. However, Something gets me going farther. In a while, in some distance away, I can see a very tall, leafless tree standing in the middle of the plain. It is so lofty that I get taken aback by its height. For a few seconds, I stay motionless, gaping at the marvelous tree. The bolt strikes too. I would even say that it gets the major part of the whole number of the bolts from the overcast heavens. How's there? I'm not sure about it, man. However, having caught sight of the tree, I immediately understand that it is my final destination, which I must reach by all means, no matter how hard it's gonna be to get there. Getting myself walking on, in the long run, I have made it there. The trunk of the tree is right before me. I can even touch its thick, dry bark, which seems to be as old as the world I come from. I raise my right hand to touch it, but as soon as my fingers touch the rough bark, the spot of the ground I'm standing on opens wide, and I fall down to find myself lying on a large, cold stone table, which is in a spacious cave below the ground. There is no light in it, except for some purple gleaming on the stone flawless floor. Around the gigantic table are large stone chairs which resemble thrones, as I understand it now. I am nude, I'm cold, and of course I'm scared. I cannot hear the roar of the storm above. The silence in the cave frightens me even more. It is absolute silence. Because up there, I was moving. There was some kind of dynamics. I was doing something there, but here, there is nothing like that. Everything seems still, motionless, dark and spooky. Although I cannot see anybody around, I somehow feel that I'm not the only creature here. There are other companions around me too, but for some reason they remain invisible. That gets me frightened even more as I cannot visualize my who. It's a key question. Who? Friends? Enemies? All I know is as soon as I start whining, they will show up around immediately. Yeah. And it might be the last desirable thing I'd like to have. But yeah. But I'm not a critically thinking adult. I'm just a 3-year-old toddler. And of course I begin to whimper. The first tears are hardly out of my eyes when tall, ugly-looking creatures appear from nowhere, producing shouts, yelps, and shrieks. They get seated around the table on the thrones. Although the table itself is pretty big, they can touch me with their disgusting lips in order to torture me. They begin to slap and snip at my face, belly, legs, and hands. While they are doing this, they are guffawing, ha 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 ha. All these actions are being committed against the background of a crazy gaiety mixed with their unrestrained laughter. To say that I'm getting hurt by their mockeries to say nothing. I have nearly forgotten to add that besides the physical abuse, they insult me too, giving me various nice names. Suddenly, absolutely suddenly, another shows up immediately on the main throne, right before me. He looks taller, mighty, possessing a deep, charming voice. It becomes absolutely clear to me that he is in charge here, while the others are inferior to him. He raises his right hand, ordering to stop the torment, and and they execute the order at once, looking up at him with an expression of absolute fear on their faces like this. The boss, I call him this way, the boss puts his palms up on my head and belly to stroke me, and in so doing, he utters the phrase which has stuck in my mind since then. Let him go. He is ours. I still remember these words. As soon as I got his touch, I experienced a great relief and calmness, and I immediately wake up. Well, that was my first step into the world of what is now known as the other world. Since then, I have seen something, or better say, someone whom others around me weren't able to see and detect. I believe that I must tell you what strange episodes I have had, what supernatural situations I have been involved into, and how the forces produced themselves in my life. I'm also convinced that applying critical thinking on the basis of my stories, some people may draw parallels to make some essential conclusions and to avoid making similar mistakes. Thank you for thank you for your attention, and I hope that my words haven't put you off me. Thank you. At least you can consider this as another exercise, as another practice to exercise your listening comprehension too. Okay.